Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to do our addition review 2. So this is the second review we're doing of addition. Before we get started, make sure that you have your lined piece of paper either in front of you or off to the side and that you put the correct heading in the right-hand corner. Don't forget, this includes your name, the assignment, the subject, and then the date. So that's the date of today, not tomorrow. Last time we did double-digit addition, which means we were adding 2-digit numbers. That means we're adding numbers in the tens place. We were only adding 2-digit numbers. Today, we're going to be adding up to 4-digit numbers, which are in the thousands place, and multiple numbers, meaning there will be 2 or more. So let's get started with our first problem. Our first problem is 90 plus 42 plus 32. I'm going to look at my ones and my tens. So this is saying 90 plus 0 ones, 40 plus 2 ones, 30 plus 2 ones. If I add these together, I have 0 plus 2 plus 2, which is 4. I have 9 plus 4, which is 13, plus 3, which is 16. So I have 160 plus 4, because really what I was saying, instead of 9 plus 4 plus 3, I was saying 90 plus 40 plus 30. So I have 160 plus 4, which equals 164. And that would be my answer. So that's one way of solving an addition problem, where you have more than 2 numbers, and they're in the tens place or higher. If I don't want to deal with writing all of this out, I can just show my work on the actual problem. So this is 33 plus 89 plus 99. I have 3 in my ones place, 9 in my ones place, and 9 in my ones place. In my tens place, I have 3, 8, and 9. So remember, this is like saying 30 plus 3, 80 plus 9, and 90 plus 9. So I'm going to look at my ones place to begin with. I always start with my ones place and move to my larger, just in case I end up having more than 10 ones, because that means I need to add some to my tens place. Because I have 3 numbers and I need a little bit of assistance, I'm going to start with my 9 plus 9. Because it's addition, I can start at any place I want in this ones column. So 9 plus 9 is 18. Now I've done this 9 and this 9. So these have been added. I'm crossing them out so I don't add them again. I have a 3 left. So now I have 18 plus 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. 3, and then I have nothing in my tens place. So I still have 3 ones over here, but I don't have anything. If there's a blank spot, that's the same as saying 0. So I could also write this 0, 3. 1 plus 0 is 2. So 18 plus 3 is 21. Well, 21 doesn't fit into my ones place. So what I need to look at is how many ones do I have? I have 1, 1. And then how many tens do I have? I have 2 tens. I'm going to take my 2 and add it to my tens column. That's because if I'm adding ones, I need to make sure all my ones are aligned. And if I'm adding tens, I need to make sure all my tens are aligned. So now I have 2 plus 3 plus 8 plus 9. Well, I know that 8 and 2 make 10. And I like adding with tens and fives. Those are easier numbers for me, so I'm going to cross those out. I have left 3 and 9. There are a few ways we could go about this. I could add 3 and 9 together and add that to 10, or I could add 10 plus 3 plus 9. So I'm going to start with that. 10 plus 3, which I know is 13. So I need to make sure I've crossed out that 3 because I've used that 3. So all I have left is my 9. So I have 13 plus 9. 3 plus 9 is 12, which means I have 2 ones in the plate, 2 ones and 1 10. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. But really what I'm saying is 10 plus 10. So now I have 22. because I don't have anything in my hundreds column that I'm adding, I'm simply going to bring down my 22, and my answer is 221. Now, as you can see, as I'm adding, a lot of my numbers are getting really convoluted, which means getting confusing and squished together. So when I'm adding, if I'm doing this method, or even if I'm doing this method, I need to make sure that my numbers are clean and clear and that I'm not adding numbers again. If you add another 10 and there wasn't a 10 there, you're obviously going to get the wrong answer. So a nice, neat way to do that, if you need to, is to take your ones and place them off to the side. So I have 2, 4, and 6, and add those separately away from the problem. So I'm going to do 4 and 6 because I like 10s, as I said before. Now I'm going to cross off 4 and 6 on the original problem, so I know what numbers I've done. And that leaves me with 2. If I look across, I still have 2 that I need to add. So I'm going to add 2. That gives me 12 because 10 plus 2 is 12. I'm going to cross off my 2. When we're looking at 12, remember, because we have 10s in the 10 column that we need to add, I need to put my 1s in the 1s column and my 10s in the 10s column. Okay? So now I have 1 plus 5 plus 4 plus 1. I'm going to write that off to the side, even though I could probably do that with mental math. I'm going to do 4 plus 1 because that's going to get me 5. So I have 1 and 4. So now I have 5 plus 5 plus 1. Well, if I'm going to add 5 to 5, I like 10s. Remember, that gives me 10. I'll cross out my 5. All that I have left is my 1. So I am going to put a 1 here. Now remember, we are adding in the tens place. So this, although it says 11, stands for 110. Because if there were numbers in the hundreds place, I would take my number in the tens place, put it down, and then I'm going to bring my number in the hundreds place up here. 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. But because I know that there are zeros here, I can simply write the 11. So my answer is 112. Okay? Let's look at problems that are a little bit more complicated. Now we're looking at problems that have hundreds and thousands. Even though they look harder, they're going to be very similar to what we've been doing. We need to make sure that we're adding our numbers in the correct place value. So I have 3, 0, and 1 in my ones, 1, 1, and 2 in my tens, 6, 5, and 6 in my hundreds, and 1 and 8 in my thousands. This reads as 613 plus 1,510 plus 8,621. Because my numbers are larger, I'm going to add the numbers that I can first without having to rewrite the problem. I always have to start with my ones though. Because it's 3 plus 0 plus 1, I know that that's 4. I don't need to do any extra work to figure that out. There's no tens that I need to put in the 10 column. So now I'm looking at my tens column. 1 plus 1 plus 2. That one's also fairly straightforward. So I can go 2, 3, 4. That one is also 4. Because I only have 4 tens and no hundreds I need to put in my hundreds column, I can now move on to my hundreds column. When I look at my hundred column, 6 plus 5 plus 6, I'm going to recognize that I probably may want to write these separately out to the side because they're going to be larger than just hundreds. Okay? So I'm going to start with 6 plus 6. And because I rewrote them, I'm going to make sure to cross them off so that I know that I did that. 6 plus 6 is 12. That leaves me 5. So I'm going to add 5 to 12, which gives me 17. Now I'm going to make sure to cross off my 5 so I know that I've completed the hundreds column. This number represents my hundreds, so that's going to come down here. And the 1 represents my thousands, so I need to put that in my thousands column. Okay? 6 plus 5 plus 5 is a simplified way in this problem of saying 600 plus 500 plus 600. So if I wrote this out, I would have 1,700. Well, because I know 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 0, I simplified the problem by simply cutting off this piece. So I have 6 plus 5 plus 5 equals 17, where 600 plus 500 plus 500 equals 1,700. So my 7 goes down here because that's in the hundreds place if you look on this. And my 1,000 goes up here because that's in the thousands place if I look over here. So I have 1,000 plus 1,000 plus 8,000. I can go 1 plus 1 plus 8 equals 10. What I'm really saying is 1,000 plus 1,000 plus 8,000 equals 10,000. So my 1 plus 1 plus 8 equals 10. This is my thousands place. I have nothing in my thousands place because I have something, a 1, in my 10,000s place. If you remember to the previous problem, I could put a bunch of zeros over here if I wanted, and that would be the same as the way it is written. But I don't need to do that because I know that since there's nothing there, that means 0. So I have 1 10,000. So my answer is 10,744. Although I found the solution, I need to make sure that my answer is written correctly, which means I need to make a comma between my thousands and my hundreds. If you look at this example, there are commas right here between your thousands and your hundreds. This gives a clue to someone who is reading the number that they're going to be reading in the thousands and not in the hundreds. Now that I put my comma in, I'm going to box my answer, and that is my answer for the first problem, which is 613 plus 1,510 plus 8,621. So now I'm going to go look at my second one, and because I wrote all over this page, I'm going to erase my writing, and we're going to write cleanly and new on this problem. This one has 8 plus 9,743 plus 37. It could get a little confusing because my 8 is little and alone over here, and my 37 looks little compared to 9,743. It won't be a problem though if you line up your place value. So I've lined up my 1s, which are 8, 3, 7. I've lined up my 10s, which are 4 and 3. I've lined up my hundreds, which are only 7, and I've lined up my 9s, my thousands, which are only 9s. So now I have 8 plus 3 plus 7. Well, when I look at this, I'm like, oh, this is excellent. 7 plus 3 makes 10. And like I said before, I really like to work in tens. So I've done 7 and 3, and now I have 8. Well, 10 plus 8 equals 18. So now I have 18. The next step is, these are my 1s. So 8 goes in my 1s place. Now I have my 10s. My 10 needs to go in my 10s place, which would be in the 10s column. So I have 4 plus 3, and then I added my 1. 1 plus 4 plus 3. So I have 5, because 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. I don't have anything in my hundreds column because my 10s only added up to 80 rather than something larger than 80. Then I have my hundreds column. There's nothing above it. There's nothing below it, which represents nothing or 0. So I just have 7 plus 0 plus 0. Then I have my thousands column. There's nothing above. There's nothing below. And that's also 0. So I just have my 9. So 9,788, which would be an excellent answer. I need to make sure, though, to get complete credit, to add my comma in. My comma, like I said before, lets the reader know that This is my hundreds, tens, and ones. Anything above that is going to be my thousands. Okay, here is our next problem. 803 plus 62 plus 6. This time, instead of walking you through it this way, I'm going to walk you through it in a shorter way. So if you need to continue to do it the previous ways we've discussed, that's excellent. If you want to try the shorter way and you're getting correct answers, that's also excellent. The shorter way would be to look at my ones, tens, and hundreds, just like always. Make sure that my ones, tens, and hundreds are lined up in the correct columns. Then I'm going to simply look at my problem. 3 plus 2 plus 6. Instead of writing out my problem like this, I'm going to go 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So 11 would be 1 in the ones column and 1 in the tens column. Now I have 6 plus 0 plus 1, or 1 plus 0 plus 6. It doesn't matter which way you read it. 1 plus 0 plus 6 equals 7. I have nothing in my tens column that I need to move to my hundreds column, so I have 8 plus 0 plus 0, which equals 8. Doing a problem like this is considered showing your work. If you are not having success with this, you should continue to do it in a previous manner so that you can get some success with addition before we move to this method. Okay? Okay. For your warp problems today, you have 8 warp problems. These 8 warp problems need to be written in a way that you are lining up your ones, your tens, your hundreds, and your thousands. If you don't line them up, it's incredibly difficult to make sure that you are getting the correct answer. As always, if you have questions, make sure to write them down. You can ask your parent, an older sibling, or you're welcome to bring them to class tomorrow and we can work one-on-one together. These problems are due tomorrow, so make sure that your assignment is in my hands tomorrow.